Hey guys, what's up? It's Lekti. Today I'm bringing you the MOP Classic healer rankings for all different tiers. We're gonna talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the different specs, raid setups, and I'm gonna give you a quick overview of all the different healers. Enjoy! First up, the Discipline Priest, an absolute powerhouse in Mists of Pandaria. Damage to heal? Check. Shield for days? You bet. Spiritual turned your heals into walls, and Atonement let you top the meters while smiting faces. With clutch cooldowns like Pain Suppression and Power Word Barrier, Disc wasn't just strong, it was meta defining. If you wanted to carry your raid with preemptive power plays, this was your class. Let's dive in. Discipline Priest had one of the highest skill ceilings of any healer in Mists of Pandaria. It rewarded deep encounter knowledge like no other spec. Knowing exactly when to precast Spirit Shell, when to swap to direct heal or weave in Atonement, made the difference between a good and a game-changing Disc Priest. This wasn't a spec you could just spam and pray. It was all about timing, planning, and maximizing your toolkit before the damage even hit. If you were building a serious raid comp in Mists of Pandaria, you had a Discipline Priest, full stop. Their ability to prevent damage entirely with absorbs made them a core part of every progression healing team. This wasn't just strong, it was strategically vital, especially for fights with predictable burst windows. As the expansion and the different tiers progress, you will get better and better at playing Disc Priest. Over time, you will develop a feeling for when to shield, when to direct heal, or when to atone. Getting better at playing around Spirit Shell and Rapture is vital for you to progress in Mists of Pandaria. As your main healing is coming from Atonement, it is really important to understand that the effect of Atonement healing is reduced by 50% on the priest himself. So you never want Atonement to jump on yourself. On many encounters, this means you want to keep yourself shielded before incoming damage, or you want to ask the other healer, or in some cases even the tank, to run a hot on you while taking damage. As you probably guessed, this priest is one of the best, if not the best healer throughout Mists of Pandaria. It's definitely a legend and is also going to stay up here throughout the whole expansion. In Tier 14, this priest gets an insane 4-piece that reduces penance cooldown by 3 seconds, arguably one of the best 4-pieces in Mists of Pandaria. In Tier 15, this priest get to run the meta gem that allows them to run a really low spirit setup while still running Halo. And in Tier 16, the Amplified Trinkets just not only amplify the Disc Priest healing, but also damage, and just makes the Disc Priest a healer you always want in either 25-man or 10-man. Up next, the Holy Paladin. Once a powerhouse in Cataclysm, now a solid but more specialized pick in Mists of Pandaria. With good tank healing and a versatile toolkit, it still held its ground, but its raw output just couldn't match the raid healing giants of the expansion. Eternal Flame gave it some good sustain options, and cooldowns like Hand of Sacrifice and Purify kept it relevant, but overall it was more of a support piece than a centerpiece. While the Paladin's kit wasn't all bad, it just couldn't compete with any of the other healers. So there was no real reason to bring a Holy Paladin. You would never bring one to 10-man, and even in 25-man it was more of a gear soak than anything, and you would rather have one of the other healers on your team. Even though I love the Holy Paladin playstyle myself, this unfortunately forces me to put the Holy Paladin all the way down here. Let's take 3 seconds of silence for all future Holy Paladins to accept their fate. I'm sorry. Next up, the Restoration Shaman, bringing the thunder and the healing rain. In Mists of Pandaria, the spec didn't just hold its own, it flooded the meters. With Healing Rain drenching the raid, Chain Heal bouncing like lightning, and Spirit Link keeping everyone alive through chaos, Resto Shaman was an absolute storm of healing power. When the skies opened up, this healer was the downpour. Resto Shamans weren't just about raw output, they were the perfect complement in 10-man comps, especially alongside Discipline Priest. While the disc handled preemptive absorbs and damage prevention, Resto brought the sustain, reactive healing, and unmatched group utility. Spirit Link Totem was huge in smaller groups, turning near wipes into clean recoveries. Healing Tide filled in the gaps between Spirit Shell windows, and their smart heals like Chain Heal and Healing Rain made sure the raid stayed top during the chaos. And let's not forget the totems. Mana Tide for regen, Windwalk for movement, Grounding and Capacitor for mechanics. There was always something clutch ready to go. If you were running 10-man progression in MOP, having both a Disc Priest and a Resto Shaman wasn't just common, it was optimal. They covered each other's weaknesses and turned healing into a synchronized powerhouse. In 25-man raids, Resto Shamans were absolute heavyweights, with Healing Rain covering huge groups, Chain Heal bouncing across the raid, and cooldowns like Healing Tide and Spirit Link Totem providing massive raid-wide impact. They were essential for any progression team. The bigger the raid, the more Resto Shaman shined. Their AoE healing wasn't just good, it was game-changing, making them a must-have in any large-scale fight. Coming back to a tier list, this leaves us no other choice than to put the Resto Shaman all the way at the top next to the Disc Priest. These two are by far the best healers in Mists of Pandaria, and there's nothing even coming close. Now for the Mistweaver Monk, the new kid on the block in MOP. And they did not disappoint. Mistweaving brought a unique DPS healing hybrid playstyle, while traditional healing output was smooth, fast, and powerful. Uplift spam, renewing mist chains, life cocoon saves, Mistweaver was flashy, fluid, and a blast to play. Mistweaver Monks brought high healing output, strong mobility, and a unique hybrid playstyle that made them fun and versatile. With smart use of Uplift and Renewing Mist, they could top meters in stack groups, especially with high haste. But while they were strong, they sat just behind Disciplined Priests and Resto Shamans, who offered better raid cooldowns, damage prevention, and overall utility. Still, in the right hands, Mistweavers were absolutely capable of carrying fights. Mistweaver earns a solid spot just below the top. Not quite a raid-defining legend like Resto Shaman or Disc Priest, but still a powerful and reliable spec. Mistweaver were really good, just not essential, which makes them end up here. Next up, the Restoration Druid, the true hot master of Mists of Pandaria, with Reju rolling across the raid, efflorescence blooming under every group, and tranquility ready to clean up disaster. Resto Druids brought relentless raid-wide healing. Mobile, efficient, and endlessly flexible. If you loved seeing your raid frames turn green and stay green, this spec was made for you. Resto Druids thrived in MOP with constant healing over time pressure, incredible mobility, and flexible builds. They were amazing at handling sustained raid damage and staying active during movement-heavy fights. But they lacked strong raid-saving cooldowns and burst healing, making them slightly less impactful during high-pressure moments. Still, in the right hands, they were consistent and reliable healers. As you would prefer Shaman, Resto Druid was what came closest to getting the top spot next to the Disc Priest in a 10-man progression setting. Similar to the Disc Priest, deep encounter knowledge was greatly rewarded as Resto Druid. When you already knew where to throw your hots and when to bloom your shroom, you always had high impact in the raid. As for 25-man, you would always want to bring one Resto Druid, as he would add greatly to AoE healing, and to have constant running hots on the tanks also had infinite value. With Resto Druids coming really close to Resto Shamans in 10-man, and being a very welcome healer in 25-man, they deserve a spot right underneath the two legends. Holy Priests had a huge healing toolkit, great AoE output, and strong emergency cooldowns like Guardian Spirit and Divine Hymn. They were especially good at stabilizing chaotic situations and filling in wherever needed. But they lacked the proactive tools, absorbs or raid-defining utility that specs like Disc and Resto Shaman brought. Their healing was strong, just not efficient or impactful enough to make them a top-tier pick for progression. Holy Priests scaled well with gear, and later in the expansion, they were a great addition to your 25-man healing team. You would probably not consider them in your 10-man healing team, as the passive HP and the big cooldowns from the Resto Shaman, as well as the absorbs from the Disc Priest, just were so essential to deal with many of the raid mechanics. Similar to the Holy Paladin, the Holy Priest is a really engaging and fun to play spec. Unfortunately, it gets outshined in almost every scenario by the other healers, and leaves me no choice as to put him right next to the Holy Paladin. This is it for my MOP Classic healer ranking. I think the top 3 will stay here throughout the whole expansion. You might be able to make an argument for the Holy Priest and the Mistweaver to move up in ranks later into the expansion. But if you want a more generalized idea of where these healers will end up, this is probably a fair assessment. If you learned a thing or two, feel free to leave a like. And if you want to see more MOP content in the future, consider a subscription. I am already working on tier 14 raiding guides, and I will also soon release daily MOP tips and tricks. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my list or what you would have ranked differently. Please stay respectful. Peace out.